Welcome back. With us now, the newest member of the Connecticut Congressional Delegation, Congresswoman Jahana Hayes. And Congresswoman Hayes, great to see you on the program.
Great to see you as well.
Last time we had you on here, you were a candidate. How does it feel to actually be in Washington under the dome working? Well,
it's surreal. It seems like forever ago that I was a candidate. And to go into Washington, first of all, under the circumstances that it was like baptism by fire, going in a shutdown. But I think it was a sobering reality for me of why it was so important and all the reasons why I decided to run.
You had changed your opinion on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. You said you weren't going to support her. Now you are. How was that relationship? Is there any awkwardness that you were one of the ones who didn't support her at the beginning?
Not at all. Not at all. Initially, I did say, I said, I want to see all the information. You know, I'm not going to make a decision on the speaker one way or another. When I was asked the question initially, I said, no, I don't support her. I want to see everyone that's running. I want to see who threw their name in. And there really were no other members who stepped up. And I've had several conversations with Speaker Pelosi, I think, but more importantly, I've seen her work. And I think it was a great decision for her to be at the helm, especially to navigate us in a place like this with the shutdown. The other thing I realized going to Washington was this idea that the Speaker controls the members is flawed. It's a fallacy. You know, we have caucus, there's conversations, you know, she background on issues, but ultimately the vote is yours. And we've had freshman members of this delegation who have already voted against, you know, what the Democrats voted for.
One of the big issues here in Connecticut is many people do not want to see another government shutdown. And we're headed there unless there's some sort of an agreement on border security, perhaps President Trump's wall. He would like to have that wall built. Do you support in any way or fashion some sort of construction of a wall?
I think that there are places along the border that will require a wall. I don't know why we're playing with semantics and calling it something else. It's a physical barrier. There are other places along the Rio Grande through private or residential areas that will not allow for that kind of a physical structure. I think under no circumstances should we ever use a government shutdown as a way to solve policy disputes. There has to be some willingness to compromise on both sides, to come to say what they're willing to accept, what they're willing to give up. But I think, like Congressman Larson said, Democrats have said, you know, we want border security. We will put money into increasing judges, to manpower, to technology, to sensors, to all of the things that the experts have said we need to secure the border. But this idea of, I asked for a wall and that's the only thing I'll accept, is unreasonable, and that's not what compromise looks like.
I want to touch on a little bit what we talked about with Congressman Larson. That is that there are some freshman colleagues of yours and some other colleagues in the Democratic chamber who would like to see President Trump be impeached. You have said, let's hold back. What is your thought process on that? What would it take, I guess?
I still feel the same way. You know, I think we cannot get confused. This is not about a person. This is about the office of the president. So for me, that just means so much. I think that we have to wait for the Mueller investigation to roll out. I just like everyone else, am concerned with, you know, as more and more people are pleading guilty and indicted, because as a leader, you realize that everyone around you, first of all, if you have no idea that everyone around you is involved in this type of activity, it means you're not a good leader. You have to have some knowledge of what's happening. But I also think that we have to wait. I think it's going to be self-evident. I think Mueller's doing a thorough investigation. He's obviously taking his time. He's obviously collecting a lot of information. Let us have the information and then take it from there. But to come out, you know, I've heard my colleagues and different people talk about impeachment. To come out and have a conversation about impeaching the President of the United States is something that cannot be taken lightly.
Have you met him yet?
No, but apparently on Tuesday.
You'll be meeting him next week.
We'll be in the chamber for the State of the Union.
Yeah, that's If you had a one-on-one conversation with him, what would you ask him?
Well, I would welcome that opportunity. And one of the things I realized very quickly is at the moment where I was elected, I was no longer a candidate. I was the representative for the people of Connecticut's 5th District. I would ask him, you know, do you think you could do more to expand the message beyond your base, to make sure that all Americans feel like they're included in the conversations that you're having and that you care about their well-being as well? You know, these are hard jobs. You know, elected office is a hard job. I don't think anyone steps into this without, on some level, wanting to help people. So I would just ask him, what do you think you could do more to expand it beyond the 33 or 34% that you identify as your base?
We know that you've been working with Congresswoman Larson on the Social Security bill. What else are you working on right now?
Well, very excited. I was thinking last night about some of the things that I've signed on. I have my very first bill that I co-sponsored, original co-sponsored, was with Rep. Tim Holleran, and it was for increasing teacher pay nationally, for making sure that it's in line with other professions and advances at the same rate. I have done some work with Title IX. I signed on to that bill for Title IX. I'm very excited about education and labor. This is a great committee. There's a lot of new members. There's a lot of new energy. And the conversations that we've been talking about in the campaign, reducing student debt, making sure college campuses are safe for all students, I think we're really going to make some movement there. I've also, on gun reform, things like additional research about making sure that there's safe storage throughout the country in different places. I think that it's very exciting because now I'm in a place where all of the concerns that I had, you kind of meet with all these other people and hear what's happening in their region and say, well, how can we work together to make sure we're doing these things? The one thing I will say that I was surprised by, that I noticed immediately in Congress, is how little opportunities there are for bipartisanship, for us to work collaboratively in groups. The Democrats caucus, the Republicans caucus, we come on the floor, the Republicans sit on one side, the Democrats sit on one side. And that's not something I'm used to. So I've been making a conscious effort to cross the floor and introduce myself, ask people where they're from, what are they interested in, and really start some working relationships.
Congresswoman Jahana Hayes, we welcome you back in the program next time you're in from Washington, and thanks for coming on today. And speaking of your background, you are a St. Joseph alumna.
Yes, I was very excited to see Rona Free and Jim Calhoun bringing it home to St. Joe's.
And Waterbury native as well.
Yes.
The Brass City. We thank you for coming on the program. We'll be talking with the new head coach of the University of St. Joseph, Jim Calhoun, and the president, Rona Free, about how they have really transformed this little school into something much, much bigger. We'll also take a look back at when the Patriots were going to move here, when they broke the hearts of businessmen and people all across the state just a few weeks later. That's coming up in our flashback. And we welcome your comments on social media right now.